One of the Heal Squad members asked me to do a video about attracting men that appear to be emotionally available, and then all of a sudden when he falls in love, then he changes. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about men who are emotionally available until you fall in love. I'm talking about that he communicated his needs, he was consistent, he was attentive to you until you fell in love, right? And so then all of a sudden he pulled back, he shut down, he started gaslighting you. It felt distant, he felt cold, and now you're questioning why. You're like, Smithia, I did my healing work. Why all of a sudden this man isn't showing up how he did in the beginning? Let's get into it. If you're new here, welcome to Heal the New Sexy, where we discuss all things healing, self-love, and relationships. My name is Smithia. I am a licensed therapist and coach. I want to say this before we go further. Like, you didn't miss the red flags. You're not crazy. You're not imagining him being this other person. What you experienced in the beginning of the relationship is what he wanted you to experience, okay? But what happened wasn't random. Quite often I talk a lot about anxious, avoidant, and anxious attached girlies and avoidant girlies, but we need to pay attention to the men that we are dating because they have attachment issues too. And this is all that it boils down to, except for it was packaged in a way for you to fall in love and accept it. And with the hopes of once you fall in love that you won't leave. Okay. Men who have some men, let me say some men because it's not all, but there are some men that have mastered the bait and switch. Okay. They know how to show up and give you everything that you want, need, desire, and long for in the beginning until you fall in love. When you fall in love, then they feel like they can show up as who they truly are because you've fallen in love. We have to understand that the society that we live in has conditioned men and women to show up certain ways. There are many men that believe once a woman falls in love, then all logic goes out the door. But you are doing your work so you don't fall for this trap, okay? So here's the truth that most people don't want to say out loud. A man can appear emotionally healthy without actually having the capacity for emotional intimacy. In the beginning, he's present, he's attentive, he communicates, he mirrors emotional language. There is so much information out here on the social media streets that a person can consume it, but that doesn't mean that they are doing the work, okay? There are many people who throw the word narcissist around, but have not opened the DSM. Okay. And for you who don't know what the DSM is the manual, the book that clinicians use in order to diagnose. So there's so much information about narcissists that many women will say, my ex was a narcissist and he was just toxic. Okay. And so the same is with some men. They may show up as emotionally mature, emotionally intelligent, but when it comes to emotional intimacy, they don't have the capacity. Now, let me say this. As a woman, you have to kind of discern whether this man doesn't have the capacity for emotional intimacy because he has to build and grow in capacity, or he's just not interested in it. Okay. But you also have to have a timeline for how long you're going to stay, if you're going to stay with a man who has to build emotional intimacy. And I say that because we all are growing, evolving, and developing. There are some men who I feel like don't have the capacity who aren't willing to do the work as relates to emotional intimacy. Okay, now I'm going to throw a name out there only based off of what I observed. Cam Newton, I feel like has the capacity for emotional intimacy. He don't want to do the work. But he has a craving and a deep desire for emotional intimacy. And that's why there are women that will stay with him, because that's where the potential is. That's the potential. Cam Newton has it. He don't want to do the work. And so you see him, I forget his name. He was just on Bishop T.D. Jakes' podcast. And Bishop said the same thing to him as Jason said to him, as Dr. Bryant said to him, right? They all are saying the same thing. He is resistant. He has capacity. He doesn't want to do the work. Just an example, okay? But early dating doesn't require vulnerability. And that's something that Cam Newton is running from, in my opinion. He's running from being vulnerable. It doesn't require emotional endurance. It doesn't require accountability. It only requires performance. So that's why you could date these men for 3 months, 6 months, years, and they are not vulnerable to you. They're performing. And when you get comfortable, that's when the switch happens. Mask off. Okay? What you met wasn't necessarily a lie, but it was their representative. And we all have one. Okay? That's why it's so important for you to date authentically. Let a man know what he is coming into. Well, no, I don't want to say it like that. Allow a man to fall in love with the true you, because there's only so long that you can keep up the representative. Okay. Many of us were taught, you're supposed to be sugar and spice. You're supposed to show up a certain way. You got to be that man's piece and all of that. But then he's going to expect you to be that way forever. And life ebbs and flows, highs and lows, conflict. You need to be your authentic self. I'm not saying show up like being difficult, but if you're quirky, when I laugh, y'all, when I laugh, I snort. Okay. I snort. When I get real tickled, I snort. I'm not hiding that. If it's funny like that to me, you gonna hear me snort. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see me sing in these videos, right? I can throw up a song anytime. I am goofy, for real. In real life, I'm goofy. So the man I marry or I'm dating has to realize, like, that's Cynthia. She gonna break out in song at any moment. She may dance. She's very silly. That's who she is. But on the flip side of that, this is also who she is as well. Show up as your authentic self, okay? But we're talking about men. But I'm just telling you, show up as your authentic self. Let that man fall in love with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Don't hide who you are, okay? The version of him, right? You met his representative, the version of him that can show up when the emotional stakes are very low, okay? So here's what happens. When you fall in love, the relationship changes. And when the relationship changes, his nervous system gets activated. Because this is the thing. A lot of men want accessibility without responsibility. I'm going to say that one more time. A lot of men want accessibility without responsibility. When you fall in love, that man recognizes, whoa, now I'm responsible for her. I'm responsible for her heart. And some men aren't looking to be responsible for your heart, or those men that are doing their healing work understand the gravity of being responsible of your heart. All right. So there's different type of men out there that you're going to encounter that may be doing this. There's a man who is not being genuine. He's not being authentic. And there's a man who is, and the two of you can work together for him to build capacity. I like to think of, I like to listen to Tony Gaskins. I like to listen to Bishop R.C. Blakes and how they describe the beginning of their courtship with their wives. Both times their wives left them and they had to grow. And they're going to be men, good men, healthy men. But this is an area where they have to grow, and you have to be able to discern and judge wisely. Is this a man that it's worth me investing in, or do I need to go? Okay. So love requires consistency under pressure, emotional presence during discomfort, the ability to stay when things feel vulnerable. And some men don't like the feeling of being vulnerable. Some of us don't like that feeling either. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I said this. If you guys like this sweater, I got it at Walmart. It's by Jessica Simpson. Okay. Sometimes you guys comment on, the things that I wear. So I will tag it. I'm going to tag this sweater from Jessica Simpson in the video so that you can get it, purchase it if you would like, if you're stateside. But when I bought this from Jessica Simpson, baby, I remember wearing her heels back in the day with the platform. Girl, couldn't tell me nothing. Okay. For avoidant or emotionally unintegrated men, intimacy feels like loss of control, loss of autonomy, fear of being depended on, fear of being truly seen. Sometimes the reason why a man will go and cheat with another woman is, and not just for the thrill, it's because she can't see him the way that you do. Don't stay with that man. But I'm just saying, that's why. because it's new, it's fresh, and she doesn't see his shortcomings. She doesn't see his flaws. She doesn't know him like that. So he feels like a superhero. He feels like a knight in shining armor over there because he's really hiding being seen. Okay? So instead of leaning in, these men pull away, not because you're too much, but because love costs more than they're able or willing to pay. Or willing. I think Shannon Sharp is an emotionally unavailable man. I believe he can be very charming. He has a really good sense of humor. He's very quick. He's very sharp. But the reason why we keep seeing these things, in the media with him, is because he is emotionally unavailable and he doesn't want to do the work. Okay? All right. So this is the important part. The early version of him wasn't fake. It was just limited. He showed you who he could be without emotional responsibility, without deep attachment, and without real expectations. So that's why you're dating, you're going out. It's really fun. He's charming. He's opening doors, pulling out chairs. He's able to have very great conversation. But as soon as you get deeper into the relationship, that's where he's stunted. Okay? When love entered the room, the demand increased and he didn't have the capacity to rise with it, or he wasn't willing to create the capacity. That's why I always tell you, when you start dating, you may need to come back and let me work with you, because that's where we're going to start building the capacity. And sometimes men don't have safe spaces for them to build capacity the way women do. Right? So it feels like he changed, but really the relationship required more than he could give or was willing to give. Tony Gaskins and Bishop R.C. Blakes and Jason Wilson are example of men that went and built their capacity for relationships with their wives. What's his name? I can see his face. He's a motivational speaker with the hat. What's his name? Eric. He talks about his wife, Dee Dee, okay? He talks about his wife, Dee Dee, and how when she got sick, like how he stepped in. And they have a house. They have a house like in California and a house in Detroit. So when it's cold in Detroit because of the illness that he has, they stay in California. I forget his name. His name is Eric. I know his name is Eric. I think they call him like the hip hop preacher or something like that. But these are men who didn't have it, but they did the work to have it. Okay, I am not encouraging you to stay with a man who's not doing his work. He has to be doing his work. He has to go to therapy. He has to be implementing what he's learning. He has to use those skills, and you have to be patient and understanding for him to practice with you. When one partner is in therapy, the other partner has to be willing for that partner to practice, to make mistakes, but also to recover and to repair. Okay, but again, you have to be discerning. Now let's talk about why this keeps finding you, because that's what the Heal Squad member asked. This pattern often happens to women who are emotionally intelligent, grounded, warm, self-aware, and not chaotic. You feel safe. You feel regulating. You feel like peace. That's why many men are like, I need a woman to bring peace. I need a woman to bring peace, because he isn't regulated. He's using you to regulate himself. He's using you like a human teddy bear. Okay? Avoidant men are drawn to that until peace requires reciprocity. And I did a video on reciprocity, so you're going to want to watch that as well. But peace requires reciprocity. I always say, how you asking for peace, but you bringing chaos? And as women, we multiply what a man brings. You bring a seed, we give you a baby. You bring a house, we bring you a home. You bring chaos. Okay, we're going to be acting like Taraji in Acrimony. Or what was that video where, what was it, Glenn Close, when she was boiling the rabbit? All right. Okay. All right. Okay. They want closeness without responsibility, connection without accountability, love without emotional labor. That's why you see women in relationships giving so much emotional labor, because he is not doing his part. You are the caboose, essentially, of the relationship, and it shouldn't be that. If you I want you to think about a past relationship, or even you're watching this because you are going through this very thing. If you stop doing, what will happen to the relationship? If you stop showing up, what will happen to this marriage? What would happen? Would he pick up, Or is he going to say, you changed, what's going on? You're not doing what you used to do. Because he wants you to still function and overfunction and overproduce like you were, because he benefits from it. Meanwhile, you dying. Meanwhile, on the inside, you are craving something more. I truly believe that men have emotional capacity for women. God wouldn't create us to come together to be one if they didn't have it. Okay, so don't allow a man to be like, well, this is how he is. I don't accept that. Don't accept that. All right. So let's talk about the red flag that women miss, because I know that's what you're here for. Okay. The red flag isn't that he was avoidant. The red flag is the switch. Healthy people don't become emotionally unavailable the moment love deepens. They don't vanish when intimacy grows. That's why sometimes when you have sex with a man, he'll leave you. Because as soon as you have intimacy physical like that, he's on his way. It's not that that's all he wanted. It's that it may have stirred up something in him emotionally that he wasn't ready to address. Okay? They don't punish. Healthy people don't punish closeness with distance. When someone disappears after emotional bonding, that's not chemistry, that's information. And you have to make a decision with the information that the man is giving you. Behavior is communication. And if that man says he wants the relationship or he wants to be with you, but his behavior says something different, trust what the behavior is over what his mouth is saying. Because many men know how to say a whole lot and they doing a whole lot of nothing. Not a thing. Okay? All right. So let's talk about what you should watch for going forward. Instead of asking, is he emotionally available? Start asking, how does he handle disappointment? How does he respond when I express my needs? Does he minimize? Does he tell you about his needs or how you didn't do for him what he wanted you to do? Right? You go to your boyfriend and you're like, we are spending a lot of time together. I want to spend more time together. You're like, and he flips it and he's like, well, we're not having enough sex. Or you doing too much. You want too much. Why we got to spend all this time together? Why we got to spend money and go on dates? No. When you express a need to him, like, I need you to communicate more. I need you to tell me how you feel. Oh, I'm not that type of guy. I don't believe in, sharing my feelings and things like that. Like, why we got to talk? Why we got to keep talking and talking and talking? You want to be in a relationship with someone long-term that doesn't want to speak to you? He should be eager to speak to you. When you call, I have a friend that I work with. When his wife calls, he's like, gotta go. My wife is on the phone. Okay. Go on. I could go to his office at work. Oh, my wife is calling me. Okay. Gotta go. He wants to hear from her. You can watch Tony Gaskin's videos and you can see, oh, my wife texted me. And Tony texted right back. He don't care about none of that. Not his wife. You need to be in a relationship with a man that esteems you. Oh, he out with the boys? Oh, my wife texted me. She said she get ready to go to bed. I gotta go And the problem in our society is sometimes people talk about, oh, that's a simp, that man weak. No, he's not weak. He's honoring the woman he's with. He's emotionally available and vulnerable to her. Okay? Another question. Does he stay present during emotional tension? Can he repair after conflict? And if you want me to do a video about repairing after conflict, because maybe that's a skill you don't have, let me know. Because emotional availability isn't how someone shows up when things are easy. It's how they show up when things get real. Does he hide when it's time to be vulnerable? Does he run when you are emotional? This is not just about when you fall in love, but this is also when things happen in your life. Is he able to show up for you emotionally? When your mother passes away, when something happens to your children, how does he show up? When you lose the job, when you go through a health crisis like I did, how will he show up? It's bigger than just the two of you. The purpose of you doing this evaluation of him is so that you can have some insight to how he will show up in the future. It's not guaranteed, but you should know how he will show up. You should have some type of inkling, okay? So I need you to hear this. You did not lose a good man, especially if you decide to leave. You outgrew his capacity. And if he doesn't do the work, it's going to be suffocating for you, okay? And the fact that avoidance The fact that love activated his avoidance does not mean love is unsafe. It means you're capable of real intimacy and he isn't. And there may be some things in his past, whether it was a past romantic relationship, a divorce, or issues like mother wounds that are showing up, and you're triggering it. Okay, even though you're healthy, you're safe, and you're secure. And let me tell you this: you know that you're healthy and you're safe and you're secure. Don't stay and try to convince him and win him over, because that's going to be damaging to you. That's going to undo all the work that you have done to get to where you are now. Okay, trust what you've noticed, trust the pattern, and trust that the right person won't disappear when you love them. And also trust the right person will do their work. Work. He's going to do his work, and it's going to be genuine. It's going to be authentic, and it's not going to be temporary. He's not going to do the work for 30 days and then switch. No, the work that he does will be for the duration of the relationship. He's going to show up differently if he really wants the capacity and he really wants the relationship, okay? Because this is the thing. A man who's emotionally unavailable to you is going to be emotionally unavailable to your children, if you should have children, okay? All right. So this is Heal to Do Sexy. To the Heal Squad member, I hope I answered your question. I love y'all so much. Thank you for rocking with me until I talk to you again. Bye-bye.